To the Force, always. My name is Diz, aka David Zammit. Force, always. Let's get on with the show. The news, the views, the reviews, the interviews. So, news today, there's no news, which is what I always say, good news. No news is good news. Nothing on the Mandalorian and Mandalorian and Grogu, which is coming out in 2026. Nothing on this Starfighter film, but I have a feeling shortly we're going to get some sort of leaks with that. I'm just sort of scouring the internet, and I'm just seeing there's a lot of activity to sort of discover what is going on with that because of the controversy of Rey possibly being it, Rey Skywalker, who was a character in episode 9 technically, but was also 7, 8, and 9. Anyway, so that's so no news is good news. The only other news, which is not Star Wars news today, the Michael Jackson biopic trailer, landed, and this is going to be epic. It's definitely a film that I'll review for this channel when it does come out, and I'll leave my opinions about what I think now and then till then. Anyway, so that's pretty much the news, what's happening now. Let's get into the views. Views is my story ideas about, Star Wars. I accept the story for what it is from start to finish. It's all good. There's no problem. I like it. There's cringe points as well, like in any film, cringe points. So let's get on my story idea. So my story idea is going to be connect to the video I made yesterday, which was, I think it was yesterday or the day before. It was about Predator Badlands. It was a review that I did straight out of the theater. What can Star Wars learn about this for story ideas? The one thing that was consistent in that film that Star Wars really needs to just get back into is the intensity of the visual candy. What do I mean by that? I mean, the actual film was flawless in its effects, flawless in its sort of design, its look, and it was just brutal. See, this is the type of film that's Predator Badlands that almost would suit a Darth Vader sort of feel of a film. The story of Badlands is not really for Darth Vader, but I'm talking about the look, the feel, the tone of it. Just gritty, intense, it would just get people rocking. I tell you, it would be great. That's what Star Wars Lucasfilm could learn, is that this type of film is what Star Wars is missing. An absolute intense, dark fest. I know it goes against the grain of family sort of viewing and some kids, but, even though the original age for Star Wars, as George Lucas said, was meant to be a 12-year-old or 13-year-old boy, people from that era have progressed, so you've got to really go with the times. So those 12-year-old boys now, they're much older, and you've got to also think of your, the young today. But I think you need to sort of have a middle ground with that, somehow that it would just come off like a 25-year-old sort of looking film. When I say the feel, the tone, like a 25-year-old will just go, look at that, that's great. But I think also just going absolutely intense like Badlands did, Predator Badlands, absolutely wild in its horrific look and just certain scenes. I think that's what Darth Vader, the film, if they're ever going to do it, should be like. Anyway, that's my story idea. Let's get into reviews. Reviews this time around is going to be something super interesting. I've got the original box set of Star Wars trilogy, the original trilogy that was first time on DVD. This was the look of the package. See, look, we got on the side there, 4, 5, and 6. This was before the whole what do you call it? Before the 1, 2, and 3 came out. This is what came out then. So this is, I'm going to be careful with the packaging here, but there's 3 DVDs in there. DVDs, not Blu-ray. This. Now, I will say that this was a sort of similar packaging to the last time this trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, came out on video. The video packaging, which is back there somewhere, which I'll reveal one time, it's very similar because where the Darth Vader sort of mask sort of had half of it and the rest you could open. It's not as good as the video package, but this still is a great packaging. And the fact that it's DVD. Oh, look here! Look at this. Here's the look. This is there you go. That's A New Hope. This is the bonus material. I've got it in the wrong section there. This was Empire Strikes Back. And this was Return of the Jedi. Look at that. All of them in the one DVD. In fact, on the other side, I should show the other side. That's what it looks like on the other side. This is a 10 out of 10 presentation. That's my review for this time round. Let's now get into interviews. And guess who is going to interview me again? Michael from Werribee South. He loves when I speak Bogan. G'day, Michael. Where you going, mate? How you going? That's a bit of Bogan Australian, just for Michael. He's a big-time viewer. Anyway, but I respect and love all the viewers, whoever you are. If you have a comment, you have a question, please send it in directly to the YouTube channel, because I'm not really on the Instagram. I have an Instagram, but it's more of a personal one. I used to have a Star Wars one, but somehow something happened. I will get back into that in the future, but let's get into the questions. Now, Michael has based a lot of his questions on the movie I saw yesterday, Predator Badlands. So let's see what he's asking me. So the first question, how is the sword fighting in the movie? It's not really, besides maybe like an introductory scene and a final scene to the father and son, I think it is, that it was just sort of like very medieval type fighting. It had a red sort of blade to it. It was good. I wouldn't say it's great. It was just good. It wasn't like a lightsaber fight, but it was good. It was just very medieval, sort of the way the fight was structured, and it was fine. It was good. Anyway, so that's how the sword fighting was. Now the next question Michael asked me is, does this ever end up getting repaired? Oh, does Thea ever end up getting repaired, her legs back? Thea is the main sort of synthetic robotic organism that we are introduced to her as half a body from her waist upward. But she does actually have legs, and she does actually get to find her legs in the film. That's a bit of a spoiler. And there's some spoilers here if you're not really into this. A little spoilers. And she finds them. And yeah, so I'll keep it as that for now. Does she get her legs back? She does get her legs back. And they do almost get repaired at one part of the film. Later on, I won't give that away because that would be too much information for spoilers. Now, the next question Michael has is, how often does Deck wear the mask? Deck is the main Predator alien. In fact, this Predator alien is all about good, not evil. It's a pursuit in goodness rather than badness, as most of the other and all the other Predator films have been. I never saw a couple of them. I never saw Predator versus Alien and stuff like that. But, I did see the original when the original came out. That was great. Second one had a really good idea, but it just lacked. Anyway, that's my quick opinion. How often does Deck wear the mask? From my memory, he wears it once, which is towards the end. It's just a really unusual mask. It's not the, big time. It's not a big sort of feature. It's just a little thing. But he wears that mask. I think it's towards the end. From what I remember him wearing. Deck, the main Predator alien in the pursuit of good, wears the mask once towards the end of the film. Just to let you know. Anyway, so the next question is, what were your thoughts about Thea and Tessa? Do they have a lot of action scenes? Does Thea make it out alive all of this? Now, Thea and Tessa technically refer to themselves as sisters. They sort of look similar, being of a female sort of synthetic robotic thing. They refer to them as sisters, but they're not, sisters. They're not they're not born. They're created. They're made. So, but they refer to them each other as sisters. Thea is the more good one. Tessa is the more, demented evil one. They do have a lot of action scenes with each other, and also Tessa towards the end has action scenes, in combat with who I won't tell you who. You may guess, but anyway. Does Thea make it out alive after all of this? I can't give you that piece of information, as that would be a big spoiler. But it's a satisfying ending with a little bit of a you wait to see the ending to see what happens. It sort of gives you a sort of a lead into something, but I will just leave it as that. The next and final question from Michael from Werribee South: what do you think of Deck as a character? Does he live up to the expectations put on him as the first Yoju protagonist? I think it's Yoju. I think that's how you say it. Yeah, I think he does. I think it's great. The only people who are going to hate the idea of Deck or the Predator being such a good alien is actually, it actually comes from the title. He's not really a predator in this film. He's a survivor. So I think they've got to rename the whole franchise, but unfortunately it's a sell point. If you called it Survivor Badlands versus Predator Badlands, people were going to understand Predator rather than Survivor. But I think he lives up to expectations. People who are really stuck in the thought that the Predators should be evil, it does make sense, and I get that. I get that it should be quite evil, but this is a standalone character that has not been twisted to become good from absolutely nothing and then pursuing good. It's, in that person's heart, Deck, the Predator, if they actually have a heart or hearts, I don't know what these aliens have, it is good. It's good to sort of see a version of that is something different and actually carries the film, from start to end with a good journey and just survival. Because this film really is how I think one battle after another should have been more like, in its intense action. Obviously, it's a different style of film, one battle after another, starring DiCaprio, which I did review. You can see that particular review on this channel a couple episodes ago. But it's not the look of the film that one battle after another the movie should have done. It's more that how it really just the pacing of these battles in Predator Badlands is, intense. It is just one thing after another. This is just what that other movie, one battle after another, should have been more like, minus the tone and feel of this film. If you can understand all of that, so you know, look, he does live up to my expectations. What I thought. He's not the best looking Predator alien ever. I think I hate to say the original, the first looked a bit more funkier. This guy's a bit younger, this particular Yoju. But it's got the look. It's fine. It's all good. It's a good story. Anyway, so that is the show for this time around. Wishingly, next week we're going to have a bit more to talk about with Star Wars. As per usual, I talk Star Wars, this and that, whatever. But I'm really looking forward to seeing some leaks of some sort. Nothing too much of a giveaway. I'm a person that really likes to see the film when the film comes out. But just sort of some interesting, set photo maybe released. Hopefully that will happen next week. I don't know. But until next time, my friends, when hopefully this Band-Aid is not there, keep rocking.